What if I told you that some of the most productive vegetable gardens in the world never touch the ground? That's right. The dirty little secret the gardening industry doesn't want you to know is this. Certain vegetables don't just survive in containers, they absolutely thrive in them. In some cases, they outperform their in-ground counterparts by a significant margin. Nurseries want you to believe that a big patch of soil is the gold standard. But experienced gardeners know the truth. Today, we're revealing 15 vegetables that were practically born to live in pots, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at container gardening the same way again. Stay with me because number 7 on this list is going to genuinely surprise you. It's the one nobody believes until they try it themselves. Why pots beat the ground for the right crops? Before we get to the list, let's kill the biggest myth in gardening, that containers are a compromise. They're not. For many crops, containers are an upgrade, and once you see why, you'll understand exactly what's coming. Here's why. When you grow in a pot, you control everything. The soil composition, drainage, pH, water retention, even temperature. You can move the container to chase sunlight. You can drag it indoors before a frost hits. You can isolate it the second pests strike. In-ground gardens, meanwhile, are completely at the mercy of your native soil. Clay-heavy, sandy, poorly drained, packed with weed seeds, take your pick. Container growing sidesteps every single one of those problems. For certain vegetables, that controlled environment isn't just convenient. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. And the very first vegetable on this list proves it in under 3 weeks, because nothing exposes bad garden soil faster than this one root crop. 15 vegetables that actually prefer pots. 1. Radishes, fastest harvest in the garden. Radishes are the sprinters of the vegetable world, ready to harvest in as little as 3 weeks from seed. And they love containers. Because they need loose, stone-free soil to develop their round roots without deformity, and most garden beds are hiding compacted soil or buried rocks that warp every root they touch. A pot filled with fresh, fluffy compost mix gives radishes exactly what they need to grow flawless. Use a container at least 6 inches deep, sow seeds about an inch apart, and keep the soil consistently moist. Succession plant a new batch every 2 weeks and you've got a continuous harvest running all season long. But as fast as radishes are, this next vegetable solves the single most annoying part of growing a summer salad, and it does it just by sitting in a pot. 2. Lettuce. Why pot-grown lettuce stays cleaner and produces longer? Lettuce is a container gardening superstar. It has shallow roots, it loves being moved into shade the second a heat wave hits, and it responds beautifully to the cut-and-come-again method. Harvest the outer leaves and the plant just keeps producing new growth from the center, on repeat. Here's the part most people never think about. Container lettuce stays dramatically cleaner than ground-grown lettuce, because there's no soil splash during rain. No more gritty leaves in your salad bowl. A wide, shallow pot, at least 8 inches wide and 6 inches deep, gives you a near-unlimited salad supply through the cooler seasons. We'll get to a root vegetable in just a few minutes that actually grows better shapes in plastic than it ever could in open earth. But right now, while lettuce hates the heat, this next crop practically begs for it. 3. Spinach, the pot trick that prevents bolting. Like lettuce, spinach thrives in the controlled environment of a pot. It bolts almost instantly in hot soil, but in a container, you simply move it to a cooler spot or bring it indoors entirely as temperatures climb. Its roots are fine and shallow, which makes it perfect for window boxes or compact containers. A 12-inch pot can deliver multiple harvests of baby spinach leaves from early spring through late fall. Keep it well watered, feed lightly with a nitrogen-rich fertilizer every few weeks, and that bolting problem simply never happens. Spinach hates heat, but the next plant on this list doesn't just tolerate a sunny windowsill, it basically lives there forever, regrowing itself again and again. For green onions, scallions, regrow them forever on a windowsill. Here's the thing about green onions. They may be the single easiest edible plant on the planet to grow in a pot. Plant them in a 6-inch container, water regularly, snip what you need, and they regrow almost indefinitely. You can even root store-bought scallions in a glass of water first, then pot them up once roots appear. Their upright habit makes them perfect for narrow spaces, balconies, or windowsills? No garden? No problem. A sunny kitchen counter is genuinely all you need, which sets up the next vegetable perfectly because it takes that same no garden required logic and applies it to something every gardener assumes needs a dedicated bed. 5. Garlic, the pest-free container secret. Most gardeners assume garlic requires a dedicated garden bed. It doesn't. Garlic grows wonderfully in deep containers, at least 8 to 12 inches deep. Plant individual cloves in autumn, keep them watered, and by early summer you'll be pulling up full, flavorful heads. Container garlic has one massive advantage over ground garlic: zero soil-borne pests like nematodes or white rot fungus. That single fact alone makes it worth growing in a pot, and it's exactly the same defensive advantage that's about to make our next crop one of the most underrated container vegetables on this entire list. Speaking of underrated, this next one is the plant most people only picture in a backyard garden, never realizing a dark plastic pot might actually grow it better. 6. Peppers, container converts who never go back. Peppers, both sweet and hot, are some of the most enthusiastic container converts in gardening. They love the warmth that dark-colored pots soak up from sunlight, which heats their roots and accelerates growth. They also benefit from the sharp drainage containers provide, since peppers absolutely detest waterlogged roots. Use a 12 to 16-inch pot per plant, keep them in a south-facing spot, and feed fortnightly with a high-potassium fertilizer once flowers appear. Container peppers routinely outproduce their in-ground equivalents, and once you see what's coming at number 7, you'll understand why outproducing the ground is becoming the theme of this entire video. And that brings us to number 7, the shocker I promised you at the start of the video. If you think tomatoes need deep garden beds, you've been lied to. Here's why. 7. Cherry tomatoes, the one that surprises everyone. This is the one. Cherry tomatoes in a container aren't a backup plan for small spaces, they are a genuinely superior growing method, full stop. Container cherry tomatoes warm up faster in spring, suffer far fewer soil-borne disease problems, can be wheeled out of heavy rain to prevent fruit splitting, and dry out quickly enough between waterings to concentrate sugars in the fruit itself. Choose a 20-liter container minimum. Use a rich potting mix with added perlite for drainage, and stake or cage the plant early. Feed weekly with tomato fertilizer once flowering begins. The result? Sweeter, more productive fruit than many in-ground setups will ever produce. And that's not a slight exaggeration, that's just chemistry. If a vining plant like that can dominate in a pot, imagine what happens when you remove the vine entirely. That's exactly what's next. 8. Bush beans, the lazy gardener's dream crop. Bush beans are naturally compact, which makes them tailor-made for containers. Unlike pole beans, they need zero staking or trellising. They simply bush out, flower, and produce prolifically in a 12 to 14-inch pot. Because they have a concentrated harvest window, you can grow a quick batch, harvest the whole plant, and immediately start something else in that exact same container. Sow seeds directly into your container after the last frost and water consistently. They'll reward you with a full harvest in 50 to 60 days, and while beans are racing to that finish line, the next crop on this list is doing something almost nobody expects, actually improving the soil while it grows. 9. Peas, the container crop most gardeners overlook. Peas are cool season crops that hate having their roots disturbed. Transplant shock can set them back weeks. Container growing solves that completely, because you sow them exactly where they'll grow and they simply stay there. A deep window box or rectangular planter with a simple twig trellis is all you need. Here's the bonus nobody talks about. Peas fix nitrogen in the soil, which means your potting mix is actually enriched by the time you're finished. A genuine gift to whatever you grow in that same container next. Speaking of plants that just keep giving back, the next one on this list might be the most ornamental vegetable you'll ever grow. 10. Kale, one plant, months of harvest. Kale is almost ridiculously easy to grow in containers, and it's ornamental enough to earn a place on a front porch or patio without looking like a vegetable patch at all. The deep green or purple curly leaves look stunning in a large pot, and the plant keeps producing for months, well into winter in many climates. A 12-inch pot per plant, good quality potting compost, And consistent watering is all kale requires. Harvest outer leaves from the bottom up, and the plant keeps pushing new growth from the top, which is the exact same trick that makes our next vegetable one of the most colorful things you can put on a patio. 11. Swiss chard, the vegetable that refuses to die. Swiss chard is one of the most visually striking vegetables you can grow, with stems running through red, yellow, pink, and orange. It's also one of the most forgiving container crops on this entire list, tolerating heat, cold, partial shade, and inconsistent watering better than almost anything else here. Plant 3 or 4 chard plants in a 16-inch container and harvest outer leaves regularly. These plants will produce continuously for up to 6 months without needing replacement. And if you thought that was a long harvest window, wait until you see what happens when you let a heat-loving vine take over a container next. 12. Cucumbers, vertical growers that love warm roots. Cucumbers are heat lovers that thrive when their roots stay warm, exactly what a dark pot sitting in full sun delivers. They do need a trellis or cage for their vines, but a 15 to 20-liter container with vertical support produces a genuinely impressive harvest. Water deeply and consistently, since cucumbers are mostly water and will turn bitter fast under drought stress. Feed weekly once flowering starts. Bush varieties like bush pickle or Space Master were practically designed for containers, and if you thought cucumbers liked heat, the next plant on this list takes that obsession to a whole new level. 13. Chilies, heat seekers in every sense. Chilies love heat, in their environment and on your palate. Container growing gives them both a warm root zone and the ability to be carried indoors before autumn frosts, which dramatically extends their productive season. A potted chili plant can actually be overwintered indoors and brought back into production the following spring, turning what most people treat as an annual into a genuine perennial. A 10 to 12-inch pot is sufficient for most chili varieties. Feed with a high potassium fertilizer and watch the plant reward you with months of fiery abundance. And right after fire comes color, because the next vegetable on this list might be the single most satisfying root crop to pull out of a pot. 14. Beetroot, perfect roots every time. Beetroot is a deeply underrated container crop. Like radishes, it needs deep, stone-free, loose soil, exactly what a 12-inch deep container provides. The round roots develop cleanly and evenly in pots, without the forking and distortion that heavy or compacted ground forces onto them. But here's the bonus. The leafy tops of beetroot are edible too, and make a fantastic addition to salads and stir-fries. You're essentially getting 2 crops out of 1 pot. Sow seeds thinly, thin seedlings to 3 to 4 inches apart, and water consistently throughout the season. And for our final entry, we're not stopping at 1 plant. We're giving you 3 you can harvest from every single day. 15. The kitchen pot trio you'll harvest every day. We're rounding out the list with a trio that straddles the line between herb and vegetable: basil, parsley, and coriander. All 3 grow exceptionally well in containers, all 3 bolt quickly when stressed in the ground, and all 3 produce more abundantly when harvested regularly, something container proximity makes effortless. Keep them in a 6 to 8-inch pot each on your kitchen windowsill or back step. Snip regularly, water consistently, and you'll have fresh flavor at arm's reach every single day. Which brings us to the 5 rules that tie this entire list together, because none of these 15 plants will perform if you get the basics wrong. 5 container gardening rules that change everything. Rule 1. Never use garden soil in containers. It compacts, drains poorly, and introduces pests and disease. Always use a quality potting mix. Rule 2. Drainage is non-negotiable. Every container needs drainage holes. Sitting in water is the #1 way to kill container vegetables. Rule 3. Feed more often than you think. Container plants deplete nutrients faster than in-ground plants because of frequent watering. Liquid feed every 1 to 2 weeks during the growing season. Rule 4. Size matters. Most vegetables need at least a 10 to 12-inch container. Going too small stunts root growth and stresses the plant. When in doubt, go bigger. Rule 5. Water consistently, not excessively. Stick your finger an inch into the soil. If it's dry, water deeply. If it's still moist, wait. That's the whole watering strategy. Follow those 5 rules and every single vegetable on this list will outperform what most gardeners get out of an entire backyard bed. Container gardening isn't a second-best option. For these 15 vegetables, it may genuinely be the best option. You get control, convenience, and in many cases, better produce, with less backbreaking work and fewer pest problems than a traditional garden bed. Whether you have a full backyard, a tiny balcony, or just a sunny windowsill, there is absolutely no reason you can't grow an abundant, productive vegetable garden in containers. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into growing food in small spaces. And drop a comment below. I want to know which of these 15 vegetables you're trying first. Happy growing! I'll see you in the next one.